Oh my god, Captain Marvel. Hold on, I'm shutting my door. Bro, Captain Marvel is so many things, but of all of them, it was a disappointment. Let's just talk. To start, this movie had a ton of controversy going for it. Not in the good way, when it's controversy good, but in the way that people knew this film was going to be criticized because it had a female star. So, trolls went out of their way to say, don't watch Captain Marvel because it stars a woman. Don't watch Captain Marvel because it's just a bad movie. People made up all these reasons for not watching it. And in the end, I don't think it's a great film. And I think all that criticism is not earned, but at the same time, people weren't wrong. All right, here's what I mean. I will get right into it. I see a Marvel movie, I go, the universe they have cultivated through a formulaic, albeit different range of comedic, action filled films, and some have fallen flat, yes, but the disappointment that is Captain Marvel is so groundbreaking because it wasn't even expected to be that great. I was hyped for the movie from the first announcement, thought the first trailer was fine, didn't show anything crazy. I thought they might have been hiding what? Captain Marvel is the most powerful hero in the MCU. What we get here is a half baked origin story that's first act makes if you feel like a bad trip. Barely introduces or makes Carol interesting. Everything cool is thrown away in an incoherent first 20 minutes. It seems all the sexist trolls accusing this movie of being a bland cardboard entry, the otherwise colorful, well-built storytelling arc, were right. I never would have thought so. This movie looked dull, the color palette slightly bland. I could go on forever talking about how every line of dialogue doesn't sound like something someone would say in real life. It's just something either very quippy and sarcastic lumped together with exposition trying to explain away something impossible, like my suit can work in this different atmosphere. Look, the colors change. The movie is furthermore frustrating simply because Carol is just not given a proper introduction. She's literally just thrown into the movie as a hero. And yes, there are flashbacks, but they barely tell us her origin story. Just half of how she obtained these Kree powers. This has barely anything to do with the Air Force. I like some of the designs of the scrolls as well as the performances, but the villain reveal, while predictable, was laughable. And fuck that cat too. The MCU has down pat what is known as a formula, and they can twist and manipulate, if any time, to make a cool, shocking moment, such as the controversial Iron Man 3 Mandarin twist, the Thanos build-up throughout the Avengers arc and Guardians of the Galaxy, Crossbones and Zemo and Civil War, and so on. Point is, the villain in this film is so terrible and forgettable. And worst of all, the audience is supposed to root for Captain Marvel, who barely even gets her name mentioned, along with, like, any other character from this film is a joke spouting Nick Fury. This movie is exactly what it's afraid it was going to be. Its feminist marketing campaign is a complete lie. It marketed itself as being about women in the Air Force. It skims over that entire section of Carol's life completely. Whoever got Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck to direct should have just expected the standard amount of overused CGI, unlike the beautifully shot cliffhanger, and tons of 90s references and humor, because the only way this film's ridiculous plot that doesn't take itself seriously continues on is due to jokes and extended action sequences that had me wanting to bang my head against my seat. Could have gotten a cosmic epic, but we got a mediocre sci-fi flick that barely stands out against Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok. Fuck Jude Law, fuck Annette Bening in this movie, because they do nothing to add to it. I really wish those great actors could have had a better script to work with, but they are just cast into hell. Annette Bening is ruined in this film. Aside from screaming, giving weird looks to strangers, everything Captain Marvel does has to be flat or simply dull. She just has very little charisma to her character. Maybe that's the result of a good actress like Brie trying to fit into the cartoony action hero role? That's a guess. The MCU was shaped over the years. She was flying everywhere, kicking tons of space ass, but this is just a movie about trying to find her past, and I never really think we do. We just go in a circle till the movie thinks we've gained something by watching Carol develop her powers. It's truly a mind-numbing film, and I was so dumbfounded and baffled by how forgettable and overclouded this origin story is. It felt like it had elements of Captain Marvel 2 and 3 in this, and even managed to fit an Avengers reference into the last frame, which was awful. Those are my siblings fighting. This movie was just trying to fit way too much into one story, and we've seen films do that, but for a Marvel movie that's been through the ropes, this was way overdone. The annoying ass directors of this movie would rather play 90s grunge and make repetitive jokes about a cat than push the story forwards. I cannot believe this film, which was supposed to be an important jumping off point for a major character, was just an Ant-Man and the Wasp style spectacle set in space that does nothing to advance the story of the MCU overall. It hardly matters by the end. You just need to watch the mid-credit scene. Maybe there's an alternate version of this film that Carol actually gives us a backstory on her childhood and how she got into the Air Force. But for now, I guess she's just the most powerful hero in the MCU because Kevin Feige says so. I hate to jump on the bandwagon with this, but Shazam looks better and is better in terms of being more fun and original and just a coherent movie. This movie has tons of characters it barely uses. I was very confused by that. Why have Ronan in this? from Guardians. It's polarizing, but in a way, it's just very rogue in the MCU. It skips over everything that feels important. It just fits right into its comfortably little slog zone of a 130-minute film. And hopefully your 10-minute wait after the mid-credits is worth it. It just feels really slapped on. I didn't care about the end. The post-credit scene is ridiculous. It was very similar to the first Thor movie, a fish out of water, beautiful person fighting aliens in Earth. And that was also really mediocre. So it really feels like they step back here. I mean, if you're making a movie, your first movie before Endgame is exactly like Thor, that's a problem. And I'm glad Taika Waititi revived Thor because those movies were shitty. Hopefully Taika can do the next Captain Marvel movie.